Uplifting, unlimited. When you, you, and you, uplifting, unlimited. You.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to episode 2 of Hello Beautiful, a faith-based talk series that elevates mindsets to win daily. And we do this with Bible verses. So this week, I have a very special verse, a verse that is so near and dear to my heart that we're going to delve into and dissect and come up with tools to help you win. Okay? So the verse is from the book of Proverbs. Now, if you ask anyone about the books that I love, number one would be the book of Proverbs. And it is so practical, it's filled with wisdom. It gets you going. You can take the word in the book of Proverbs and you can apply it to your life daily. Very often I tell folks if they want to do a Bible challenge to consider reading one chapter of the book of Proverbs for 30 days or 31 days. It has 31 chapters, read it for 31 days. So one chapter a day and watch your life transform. All right. Before I digress, let's go back to this verse for this episode. It's Proverbs chapter 22, verse 29. And I'm going to read it in various versions. The first version I was going to read is the New International Version, also known as NIV. And it says, do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of low rank. Okay. So do you see someone skilled in their works? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of low rank. So that's the New International Version, right? And of course, when they say, do you see someone skilled in their work? That's somebody in today's terms, in my industry, we call them SMEs, right? Like subject matter experts, right? So skilled in their work. They're so good. They could talk about what they do in their sleep. They're so good that people of high power are paying lots of money to just see them come in and speak and give them guidance and advice. So someone skilled in their work. Now, I want us to go into the amplified version, also known as AMP, and then you have the amplified classic version, AMPC. I'm going to read out what the Bible says in that version. It says, do you see a man diligent and skillful in his business? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. He will not stand before obscure men, meaning he will not stand before people of no influence, power, or access, right? That's what the amplified classic version describes. Now, it's very similar to the New International Version. It starts with, do you see a man diligent and skillful? So the Amplified added another word to describe this SME, right? Diligent and skillful. Diligent, consistent, trained, without a doubt kind of individual. And what do? They stand before kings. Diligent in his business. Now, it could be in your skill, it could be in your career, it could be in the business that you're running, but you're diligent. People know what they're getting from you. There is no guessing. There's no if, buts, or maybes. They know exactly what they're going to get from you. They know what time you open, what time you close, what time you show up. When your yes is your yes and your no is your no, that's diligence, right? This is how the Amplified Version describes it. Now, I wanted to put in one more version. Usually this version is like simple English, break it down type of version, which is the Message version of the Bible, and it's often known as MSG, right? So the Message version, and it says, observe people who are good at their work. Skilled workers are always in demand and admired. They don't take a backseat to anyone. Okay, I like to say it again. Observe people who are good at their work, right? So it started with observe people who are good at their work. Then it went to another level. It said, these people that are good at their work, are skilled workers, always in demand and admired. So for you to be good at your work, that means you know your work so well. People want you. People want your work. People are always demanding. People are willing to stand in line for you to get the service from you. I know we've seen that in certain companies, we've seen that in certain stores. There are just certain stores that the work that they do is just so good. People are willing to stand a long line. When I say long line, just to get that service or get that food or get that brand, right? So observe people who are good at their work. One thing I like this verse about is it didn't just hone in on one person. So the previous verses, it said, see someone skilled in their work, see a man diligent. This one said, observe people, meaning it is not just one. You and I have that opportunity to be this persona, right? Skilled at their work, right? Always in demand, always admired, always backlog, right? And they don't take a back seat to anyone. They are in demand and they're admired. So why is this verse so near and dear to my heart? Number one, I'll tell you a story, a quick story. So when I met uh, Michelle Obama, I was somewhat young, a couple of years ago, and I met her, and I was so excited. I took a picture, and I could not wait to blow it up on Instagram. And I said, what would be the best capture for this picture with the great Michelle Obama? I was like, ah. And then I thought about this verse: see a king diligent in his see a worker diligent in his works. It shall stand before kings, shall not stand before men. I felt like that was a reflection of where I would like to be and who I want to be hanging out with in the future. People with power, people with access, people that when you stand next to them, they know that excellence is also in your story. Do you understand? So this verse is so near and dear to me, especially during times when I am working towards a goal, I'm refining my skill set, and I'm almost giving up. I go back to this verse and it sets me back in line. Like it sets me back in line to be like, if you want to eat with kings, you need to do what is necessary. So let's break it down. It says because this verse is really about wisdom, and it's less about the skill, it's about the process that gets you to that point where your skill is noticed by very, very powerful people, right? It's not raw talent. It's raw talent that has undergone the very rigorous training, discipline, resilience, patience, like going through all of those tough times, rejection, realignment, go back to the drawing board, rejoin, like that. That's the kind of skill they're talking about. That's the kind of talent, not raw. You know, talent can open the doors for you. Discipline is what will keep the doors open. Let me repeat myself. Talent could open the doors for you, but to keep the doors open, discipline Discipline is what will like keep them open for you. Don't let anybody lie to you. Nothing is automatic. There is a process here. And the Bible says it. It's like they are so skilled. They've been through the ringer, right? Like, think about it. When you think about diamonds, they go through major pressure for it to shine. Gold, it goes through furnace of fire for it to glitter the way it needs to. So, why would you think your talent won't go through the rigor, like the rigor that it requires for kings to now call you? Kings today are the boardroom, the executive management committee, the rooms that your managers go to, and maybe they mention your name because of the wonderful things you've done. Like rooms that you can't get into until you are at a certain level. That's how we describe kings today. So as we are just entering the second month of the year, January is done. We've set the goals. We're ready. We're setting objectives right now in the corporate setting or whatever institution you're in. How are you ensuring that you're positioning yourself to be that skilled worker that gets brought before kings, that get called into the boardroom, that gets called into the executive management suite, that gets called to handle special projects? Like, how are we preparing ourselves to be that skilled worker? What do you need to start doing, stop doing, and delegate to other people to do for you so that you can be positioned? That's what this verse is all about. I love this verse. It's a verse that just like whoop you back in line and remind you that it's a journey. It's not an automatic thing. So let's break down some things about this verse, right? It talks about diligence, it talks about skilled. Preparation determines placement. So if you're going to be standing before the big guns in your workplace, or if you want to attract the most influential customer to your business, how have you been preparing for that? How have you been preparing, right? Because that preparation is so critical for any kind of placement to happen. For those of you who are looking to get promoted this year, what are you doing? How are you preparing for that promotion? Do you already envision yourself at that level? And if you do, have you gone to meet people to ask them questions of what it is that they did to get to that new promoted level so you can start doing it now, right? Preparation. You prep, you prep, you prep, you prep, you go back to the drawing board, you look at what you're doing, you dust it up, you get feedback from trusted people. That's what preparation is all about. You're not doing it in isolation. You're doing it strategically with people that can help you and lift you up, right? So you've got to prepare. Understand, if we go back to that verse, it says, skilled workers are always in demand. I'm using the Message version. It's like, observe people who are good at their work. Skilled workers are always in demand and admired. Skilled workers don't chase. Skilled workers are pulled. They don't push, they get pulled, right? Because it's so good. People are looking for you. Kings are looking for you. Influential companies are looking for you. I just read a scroll about this gentleman that has over 300 million TikTok followers. The guy that lost his factory job back in 2020, and he doesn't say anything. I can't remember his name. Doesn't say anything, but he will give you this like, this is how to do it kind of look. And he just sold his company for almost $1 billion, right? But all throughout, he was perfecting his skills. It wasn't automatic. He was learning. While he was posting on TikTok, he was learning, he was evolving, he was getting the necessary skills to move him up from one level to the next to the next, probably buy new equipment so that his videos are actually better. You just imagine the work that goes behind, right? So how are you preparing for that promotion? How are you preparing for that extra pay, that increase in pay? How are you preparing for the 200 plus customers that you want in your business, right? You got to prepare. Preparation is required to be called skilled at whatever you do. Okay, so that's one. Two, this is very, very critical for us Christians. We serve a God of excellence. Okay, so with that in of itself, excellence should be our modus operandi. Excellence is not perfection, and I think a lot of people always mix that. Excellence is not perfection. Excellence is cultivating the habit to be better every day. So who I am today should be better than who I was yesterday, and who I want to be tomorrow should be better than who I am today. That's excellence. A diligent worker, a skilled worker, a skilled business person cannot be considered skilled or pulled into the presence of influence if they are not manifesting excellence on a daily basis. And as Christians, excellence, we serve an excellent God who is our Father and we're made in his image. It's not a conversation, it's not an option, it's just who we are. We aim to be better today than we were yesterday and be better tomorrow than we are today. That's just how we are wired to think as Christians. Now, what does better look like? It's being intentional. It's taking a recap of how the day went, the decisions that were made. Were your choice of words helpful today, or was it hurtful? And just taking stock of it and saying, okay, what do I want to do better next time? That's the beauty of excellence. Excellence is not expecting us to know everything, but excellence is expecting us to review what we did and figure out ways to make it better. So, number one, preparation is required, is a prerequisite for placement to be called, to be pulled. Number two, excellence is not an option. Excellence is required, particularly as God's children, who our Father is the King of excellence. He's a God of excellence. We're made in his image, so excellence should be innate in the way we approach things and approach life. Saying that there's always room to be better and that we have the open mind to embrace that level of growth. Okay, so it's a growth mindset. All right. Now, I just want to make sure that I'm capturing everything that we need to capture and I don't miss anything when it comes to skilled workers. One thing I will say is, if you notice, they get pulled, right? They don't push. They get pulled. However, I don't want us to assume that we put our head down and just keep working and that is reflecting. No. And this is where I'm going to talk about networking. Remember, networking is an act of service. It's not what you get, it's what you can give. And if you want to learn more about networking, I will share more details. Let me just land with this last point, right? Skilled workers get pulled. They don't push. They don't struggle to try and be in front of the kingmakers, or they don't struggle to try and be in front of the gatekeepers or the executives. They don't. That's not their MO. They're not fighting. They're not chasing them. They're basically not doing brown nosing, right? For lack of a better word, I don't want to use the word kissing the butts. They're not kissing butts, right? They're not trying to impress. However, networking is a critical part of it. And I'll give you an example of how networking was manifested. When we think about Joseph, right? Joseph, gifted, talented. Joseph knew his talent from a very young age. Joseph had a dream, had a number of dreams in his young age where he shared the dream. See, at that time, Joseph didn't have wisdom, right? He shared his dream. His brothers hated him. They sold him to slavery. The one thing is, Joseph still loved God. In the midst of all the hell that he went through, he loved God. Then, from slavery to prison, because his master's wife wanted to sleep with him and he refused, so she blackmailed him and he ended up in prison. Okay, in prison, could you get any lower than that? In prison, Joseph's talent was still there, but this time around, given how life had shown him, he had wisdom. There was the butler and the baker that were thrown into prison by the king. They had dreams. Joseph interpreted the dreams for them. And Joseph said, "Remember me in front of the king." You see, that was Joseph networking. He said, "Remember me in front of the king." Saying, if you know anyone who will need my service, please let them know. He networked. That was networking. Guys, networking is in the Bible. Don't be fooled. Network. Said, "Remember me in front of the king." Now, that remembrance didn't happen until like 2 years later, right? When the king had a dream. And I think it was the butler. I can't remember off the top of my, but one of them, it was either the baker or the butler that get killed. That then remembered that, hey, yeah, I networked with a guy that actually offered his service to me at the time we met. He may actually be able to do this for the king. Do you see? And that's how Joseph interpreted the king's dream, offered solutions, and he became the second in command. These things do happen. So I don't want you to think, oh, bury your head and just work and not do. Part of it is, as you are working, you are offering your service, your insights to people who need it, while saying, if you know anyone that needs this service or insights or skill, remember to share, right? That's what networking is all about. It's not about looking for what you can get, but rather looking for opportunities to give. And with that, I'm going to encourage you to get my book called The Power of Connection. It is a networking guide for professionals in the diaspora, and it's part of what you need to do to be the skilled worker, the diligent worker, the worker, the person, the people who are good in their work, so that they can stand before kings, so that they can always be in high demand, so that they can really touch lives and have impact with the powers and the influence that are present in this time. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening to this verse. It's Proverbs 22:29. Go read it in multiple versions, meditate on it, and don't forget to get a copy of The Power of Connection, which is part of what can get you skilled to be called before kings. And with that, stay elevated and win every day. I'll see you at my next show. Bye.
Uplifting, unlimited. You, 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 and you, uplifting, unlimited. you, you, you.